Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Incursio the Gamer Dungeons & Dragons video. Today we have a synergy video between the Lord of Hongyuan Honglu and Heishou Faust. Now, of course, this video isn't necessary, however, I feel it is beneficial. If you guys want to use this in a one-shot or a campaign, you guys know how these characters work. Of course, you can always brute force it, work your way through it piece by piece. However, I'm just going to give you guys a 5-step guide on how these two work so well together. Of course, Heishou Faust is an absolute 2-piece unit on her own. She is worth 2 units, 2 Dungeons & Dragons characters, all on her own. Additionally, Hongyuan Honglu is 1 unit on his own. However, with 2 units, so him and another, they're worth 3 or more in strength. When you put these two together, they're going to be exponentially more powerful. Let's get into it. First phase of the 5, initiative swap. Hongyuan Honglu adds 5, Heishou Faust adds 8. Heishou Faust is usually going to go first, however, you want Honglu to go first. So, what you're going to do is use initiative swap given by alert to Heishou Faust. Make sure Honglu goes first. This is an absolute must to put into phase 2. Now, as phase 1 is over and Honglu goes first, if you use the alert feat or Honglu just simply rolls higher on the dice, phase 2 is when Honglu attacks. Sure, he has the glaive that adds like 1d10 plus 4, but he has 2 attacks per action. Additionally, he has Commander Strike. What you're going to do during phase 2 is hit once with your glaive, then Commander Strike, expend your action with your bonus action, and then let Heishou Faust hit with her reaction. And because it is once per turn, she also gets the sneak attack. And she also gets to add the 1d8 superiority dice to her damage. Meaning Honglu, for this turn, deals 1d10 plus 4, and then Faust does 4d6 plus 1d8, then plus 4 damage. Phase 2 is when, pretty much, Heishou Faust gets to use that skill 3 because, well, Hongyuan Honglu just made her use it. Remember, Honglu has this enhanced skill 3 skill, like, I think skill 3-2, where he makes his ally hit with him, and then he hits again. So it's just a really, really beautiful skill. Additionally, phase 2A or 2B, you can just use action surge and then just hit again. But moving on from that. Phase 3. Now, what you might be thinking is phase 3 isn't actually phase 3 because phase 3 relies on the enemy to hit you. Phase 3 is when, say, the enemy thinks Lord of Hongyuan Honglu is the more important one to hit. Now, if they hit Faust, you skip phase 3 and 4 and pretty much everything else. But when they hit Honglu, that's when everything comes into play. Because Heishou Faust has a reaction, reducing the damage with interception 1d10 plus 3 reduction. Say you roll like an 8. That becomes 8 plus 3. You reduce the damage by 11 on Honglu. He stays up. Additionally, with his reaction, Polar Master and Sentinel attack. You have a beautiful combination of you hit the enemy with the opportunity attack, hopefully you do, and then reduce their speed to 0 because they're right next to you. Hopefully they're also a melee fighter. Now, during that phase 2, damage is reduced on Honglu. Additionally, the enemy is now stuck in place. Phase 3 is beautiful because it sets it up for phase 4, where Heishou Faust pretty much beats the crap out of them. Now, Heishou Faust, what she's going to do is use Bane or Hex. Now, Bane is an action spell, which is okay, but I personally prefer Hex, the bonus action, which does extra damage to the enemy. Additionally, they have disadvantage on an ability check made with the chosen ability. Now, what I would personally say is maybe make that strength, right? Now, she does that, and then with her bonus action, with her action, she continues to hit them with a greatsword and sneak attack combo. Now, unfortunately, with that turn, she is unable to use her divine smites. However, still hitting with 4d6 plus 4 is really hard. That's where phase 5 comes in. Because Lord of Hongyuan Honglu, of course, he does technically have bait and switch and maneuvering attack, but you can replace maneuvering attack with something that maybe knocks the enemy prone. Once the enemy is knocked prone, of course, you can deal some stuff. But by knocking the enemy prone, you need a strength roll. How do you get a strength roll, to get disadvantage, say? You cast Hex on them. Therefore, disadvantage on strength saving throws, and then Honglu gets a better advantage to knock them prone, and after that, it's pretty much just a beatdown, because Honglu can then go deal with another enemy, or just beat down on the enemy, the enemy that has been knocked prone, and Heishou Faust then is allowed to unconditionally just start sneak attacking this guy because she has advantage on them, which is wonderful, because you need advantage to use sneak attack. Now, of course, the 5 phases aren't actually, like, oh, phase 1 needs to feed into 2, needs to feed into 3, feed into 4. It's 2 parts. 1 and 2 fuel together really well. 3 through 5 fuel together really well. But, of course, I flavored them as their each individual segment because that would be more beneficial to, say, organizations. Now, of course, Heishou Faust is really strong, and she also has her own divine smites. However, she's going to be wanting to use, specifically, Hex, for, say, knocking the enemy prone when Lord of Hongyuan Honglu is gonna knock them down. We love these 2 characters, we love their builds, and honestly, they are a very easy pair to play together. The higher level you have them, remember, the more you're able to just rinse and repeat this process. These 2, naturally, great characters on their own. And of course, you can build Hongyuan Honglu with that skill 3-3 in mind, where he's just strong by himself if he's fighting solo on the field. But I like it when Dungeons & Dragons means you fight alongside allies. Thank you guys so much for watching this 5 little segment video. I hope you all enjoyed this one, and yeah, goodbye and good night.